Well, hello there. Guess what I did today? I broke into Danny's house. We're gonna listen to the NX-Tremes. Yeah. Welcome back to New Record Day. My name is Ron. If you are into two-channel audio, consider yourself an audiophile or a music enthusiast. Welcome home. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you know when the next video drops. So here's the deal. We kind of sort of broke into Danny's house. I mean, I didn't break in. I called him and I said, hey, I want to listen to an amplifier in your listening room. Is that cool? Can you make it available? And Danny, being the nice gentleman that he is, was like, absolutely, come on over. And he went to lunch with Hobbs. He's going to be out for a while, so I'm at his house. It's quiet in here, and the reason that I really wanted to come over here in the first place is this guy right here. This is the LTA Z40 Plus integrated amplifier. Beautiful sounding amplifier, and if you haven't yet, make sure you check out my preview video talking about OTL amplifiers in general and some of my very first impressions that I noticed with this amplifier. And let's just consider this a part 2 of those initial observations. I really needed to get into an environment where I knew we've got speakers here, the NX-Tremes, that are going to be peanut butter and jelly with this amplifier. They are easy to drive, they are sensitive, I know exactly how they sound, I'm already used to them. I had the NX Audicas for many years, they're the little brothers of these, they are voiced the exact same way, so this is like slipping on a pair of comfortable shoes. I know exactly what to expect out of these speakers, and we have triple open baffle subs to play with. So the answer to that is yes, all day long. All right, let me rearrange some stuff, get into position. We'll start making our way through some tracks. Of course, you're not gonna be able to hear the tracks because it's all copywritten information, but I'll let you know what I was listening to, and let's start diving in and peeling back the layers of the Z40 Plus integrated amplifier. Here we go. All right, so let's get started. The very first thing that I want to mention, just for the sake of logistics to help you guys understand kind of the way things are set up, the NX-Tremes are covering the heart of mid-band and beyond. They're covering the vast majority of the bandwidth. The triple servo subs are doing what subs are intended to do, which is to just pick up the bottom of the barrel bass. So we're talking the lowest of the lows. And so a huge benefit to the NX-Tremes is because they cover such a wide bandwidth. I'm hearing this amp the way that I think that LTA would want me to hear this amplifier. I'm hearing every ounce of resolution that the amplifier has to offer. And one of the things that is stunning specifically about the NX-Tremes and even Danny's system and Danny's environment, with the amount of effort and work that he's put into setting everything up, is everything is dialed in. I know exactly how this system can perform and sound with, you know, top tier gear, and being able to listen to this amplifier in this environment, it actually makes critically listening pretty dang easy. It's not as hard as you would think, and a lot of times when, you know, audiophiles, friends, non-audiophiles, just music junkies or whatever, they come over and they listen to a system like this, a lot of the observations that they make within a couple of seconds are the exact same observations that I would make. So it's not like, and you guys already know how I feel about this, that I have golden ears and I'm hearing things that you're not hearing. I actually feel like in a system like this, most people will get it right away. I'm gonna tell you right out of the gate, it is not a forward or a tipsy or bright sounding amplifier at all, whatsoever. And I thought it was at first, but I also knew just based on experience that some of that tilt and some of that kind of forward or edgy sound would relax over time, and here we are down the road, and that's exactly what happened. The top end extension is soft, and what I mean by that, I'm not gonna say warm. Warm would indicate that maybe there's a drop in the top end, that somehow or another things are truncated, that we're actually not hearing all of the air and extension that we would normally want to hear. I don't feel that way with this amplifier. It's like you take a cymbal and the densest or thickest part of the cymbal, it's almost like somebody has just like scraped off some of that cymbal. And so if you're a big fan of that like bell-like attack, you know, kind of that startling sort of, you know, impact of a cymbal being hit, this is softer than that. And everything that I'm hearing on top end information, it sounds that way. It sounds like, you know, water's been rolling over these rocks for so long that some of those jagged edges are kind of smoothed out a little bit. I was just listening to Jack Johnson as I was setting everything up, getting the cameras all set up the way that I want them. I made it through Brushfire, Fairy Tales, and pretty much the entire album. You know, just listening and stopping, sitting down, listening, track after track, and it's a fantastic album just to relax to and listen to some of those intricate details, top end of acoustic guitar strings, things like that, air and extension and cymbals. None of those tracks are so busy that it's just easy to latch on to very specific information, hear it, you know, the way that the artist intended it, especially on a system like this. And I don't feel like I was missing anything. Even with systems that are analytical, are very detailed in nature, I feel like a lot of that information is still there, but I feel like some of those sharper edges that might be somewhat offensive for some folks, it's just softer sounding, I guess you could say thinner, softer or thinner sounding. And so it's not as upfront, it's not as ballsy, and that would be the last thing that I would say about broadband commentary is this is not an upfront, in-your-face, front row experience amplifier. A lot of the staging that I'm hearing is actually, it's not the deepest I've ever heard, but I would say it's midway back. You know, it's a relaxing, engaging sounding amplifier. And it's interesting that, you know, when I first heard it, I thought, man, this thing could potentially be a bit bright. And I thought, you know what, don't say anything, let it have some time and put some time on it. And sure enough, here we are, not at all bright, at all. It's actually quite refined. And like I said, without being long-winded, top end extension is just a little bit soft. Let's move on to mid-range. Dominique Fils-Aimé, the album is nameless, the track is Birds. I know this album like the back of my hand. I've heard it many, many times. And I'm gonna say this right out of the gate is, you know, vocals on this amplifier, they're astounding. I mean, it's not good, it's very good. There's a level of resolution and detail in her voice, and not only that, but just this holographic like nature to her voice that even though, you know, there's a lot of refinement and detail to be had in this amplifier, you never lose sight of the fact that this is all tube glory happening here, because you have a three-dimensional, you know, view of Dominique front and center, and obviously with the NX-Tremes, they're helping create that illusion of she is right there. And The level of resolution and detail in her voice is second to none. It's that good. And so in terms of that heart of mid-band, everything that you're hearing in terms of female vocals, and I would say as we move into lower male vocals, it's stunning. And easily one of my favorite things about this amplifier so far is that heart of mid-band. Everything for me sounds natural. It sounds the way that it should sound. Nothing sounds exaggerated. And let's get this part right. The staging width and depth is extraordinary. I mean, there's stuff happening on this song, little things that shoot off far left and far right, and some harmonies that really start to show off, you know, just how deep and wide a system can sound when you have put so much effort and work into a system like this, of this caliber. My goodness sakes, it's almost overwhelming. It's really an experience that, you know, I don't get goosebumps like like audiophiles typically do, but man, it's like you're in the pit and everything just opens up and it's like things just wash over you. It's unbelievable the level of holographic information that this system is able to put out. And I gotta say, vocals, mid-band, everything that dances within the realm of mid-range it's top notch. It really is. It's extraordinary. And so hats off to the guys at LTA for nailing that. I mean, if you can't get the mid-band right, then what's the point? As I mentioned earlier, you know, the top end is a little bit of a softer sound. I can't celebrate it to the same degree as I'm celebrating the mid-band. I think that the mid-band is my favorite thing about this amplifier. I love it. It's insanely detailed. There's tons of resolution, and yet nothing sounds forward, nothing sounds contrived, nothing is poking out or flashlights shining in my face saying, look at me, look at me. Nothing like that. It's just beautiful sounding, and it sounds very natural and very engaging. I'm gonna switch gears and I want to try AC/DC. So let's see if we can make the LTA Z40 Plus sound offensive. Let's see if we can break it. All right, so if I'm being honest, maybe a little bit too polite for some folks out there. I'm trying to temper my excitement about the mid-band performance of this amplifier, and this is just me being honest. That wasn't the end-all be-all performance by any stretch of the imagination. You have JTM 45s cranked to the hilt, and at least with this system trying to crank it and push it and push it and push it, I felt as if it was missing a little bit of bite. It was missing a little bit of that rock and roll. And with that being said, if we're just talking about the electric guitars, distorted electric guitars, drums and percussion, if we were to just remove that and then talk specifically about the vocals, I'm not gonna temper anything because the vocals were freaking phenomenal. I mean, it is just perfect. I mean, it's really, what this amp does with vocals is, it's legendary. It really is. It's that good. But, you know me, I sit in the hot seat and maybe I say some things that, you know, LTA might not love hearing, but I gotta be honest, I feel like I need some balls here, you know? And I felt like even with easy to drive speakers, some of the excitement in those cymbals, some of the excitement, the edge of the guitar, it's like the punch of everything. I felt like it was a little bit too laid back. And having heard this on, systems that are high resolution systems, I'm not even talking about bright. I'm not saying that. I'm saying natural, organic, clean systems, even tube systems. I'm telling you right now that sounded a little bit softer than what I was hoping for. And I want, when I hear something like this, I want to get up and dance. It's like, I just want to hear like rock and roll. And even though everything was in its right place and put together, and I heard nothing that I would ever describe as bad or distorted or whatever, I just felt like it needed a little bit more push or bite in that upper mid-band and beyond. I felt like that softness that I've been talking about in that top end is starting to show itself in tracks like this, and I wish that it was just a little bit more ballsy, a little bit more exciting. So let's go ahead and throw on some Blue Man Group, and here's some top to bottom resolution dynamics. I'm going to be specifically trying to listen for mid bass and bass. That's a bit tricky because bottom of the barrel bass is being handled by subs, but this should be fun either way. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so Blue Man Group, no vocals. How does the LTA do when one of my favorite things about this amplifier, what happens when we remove that? And I'll say this, the staging on this amplifier is phenomenal. And since there's a lot of information being packed into this recording where things are just zipping all over the place, I mean, you have pinpoint accuracy, literally, of things that are moving across the stage. And in Danny's system, which I've heard this in Danny's system with all of his DOT audio gear and everything fired up, it is next level. We're talking like, I'm at a loss of words, as you can see. I'm at a loss of words as to how good that sounds. And so putting this into the rig, that's a tall order. And it's like, okay, LTA, let's see what you can do. In terms of the width and the depth and where things are scattered throughout the stage, it's as good as I've ever heard. So it's definitely up there. The bar is already very high with what I already know and what I've already heard before in Danny's system, and the LTA is, in terms of that, it's able to definitely reach up and grab that bar, no problem. So it definitely handles Soundstage width and depth like a champion. In terms of anything that is going to be percussive, obviously we're talking Blue Man Group, so there's a ton of percussive type stuff going on that is throughout the mid-band. Anything in the heart of mid-band, it is glorious and it sounds beautiful. So even though we're not, getting vocals out of this system, I will tell you in full confidence that I'm getting all of that same mid-band glory with all of this percussive type stuff going on and the guitar type sounds. It might not be guitars that they're playing, but guitar type sounds that I'm hearing, and a lot of drone work and a lot of really interesting things going on. It's beautiful and it sounds phenomenal. Top end, we're talking about, anything that is going to be any kind of a cymbal hit, anything that is going to be some kind of an electronic instrument that is playing up that high, whatever is packed inside of these songs, again, I'm going to say does sound a little bit softer than what I've experienced before. It's almost like whoever is shaving off that cymbal, I wish that they would stop. Like, don't do that. Let the cymbal be the cymbal, man. Stop shaving things off. And so the very top end information, it is a little bit soft sounding. It's very pleasant and it's easy to listen to. It's very polite. And so that's a good thing. And so if you're, the type of enthusiast that you have a hard time with a lot of top end information and it bothers you, and you actually kind of like the idea of something being a little bit softer on top, then this sound might be perfect for you. Let's talk about mid bass and bass. I hate to say it, I don't want to say it, but I'm honest and I'm gonna be honest. this amplifier was running out of gas. And that surprised me. It actually shocked me. It floored me that I was climbing up into, you know, the 70s. I mean, 70s, 80s, and I can actually hear like a saturation of the amplifier, and we're not approaching even near the level of, you know, volume that I've heard out of this system. The amplifier was indeed, it was gassing out. And so I'm gonna shut up right now though, and I'm gonna do something to just double check and make sure that I'm being thorough. I'm gonna try something totally different. And so I'm gonna switch gears. I know for a fact that that particular album that Danny has on here is very low level recorded. I mean, it's like we always have to crank it. And so I'm gonna try something else that has, you know, top to bottom resolution. I may have to find something on Danny's computer that fits the bill. And I'm gonna try this again, and I'm gonna see if it was just the recording, but I don't think it was. I actually feel like mid bass and bass is, again, gonna be a bit softer than what I expected or what I had hoped for, even with the system. So hang tight, nobody freak out, I'll be back. That was interesting. I grabbed my phone, decibel meter, we had peaks of 90 decibels. And that was loud, but I felt like I hit that threshold. I felt like, let me see where I'm at on the meter, hold on. Like 72, 73. I turned off the subs. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this video, but if you saw me get up and doing something, I turned off the subs because I was like, I just wanna hear what this is doing with just the NX-Tremes. So we're approaching top tilt on this amp. We're pushing it as hard as we can. And here's the deal. It's better than what I was expecting and hoping based on the Blue Man Group. So I think that a big part of what was going on with that very well just might be that recording being so low, having to lift up things so much that we ran out of gas too early. I'm listening to Bella Fleck, Cosmic Hippo, and so, oh, we got bass, we got plenty of bass, and well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I hit 90 dB, but that was at that breaking point. That was at that point where you can't push that anymore. And so, I don't know about you, 90 dB is plenty loud for me. I don't need to be listening anything higher than that. But some of you guys might feel different, and you might have hoped that we were gonna hit, you know, 95, maybe even triple digit decibels. Please don't listen to music that loud. You will definitely ruin your hearing. At that point, we were out of gas. So I could hear it. I could hear the same thing happen where we're not gaining anything else anymore. And I actually heard some of the woofers start to do a bit of a clip. You know, it's like they're starting to bottom out. And so I backed it down. Highest peak that I got where I know that things were still clean was 90 decibels. Kind of a bit of a rant, and I didn't mean for this to turn into a bit of a rant, but I'm gonna say this. Mid-range, soundstage, precision, detail-centric information on the amplifier is what this amplifier is all about. Top end, time domain information, cymbals, anything way out there in the ether is a little bit soft. And when it comes to mid bass and bass, it's not gonna kick you in the gut. It's not gonna punch you in the gut. It's not gonna be this visceral, ready to pounce, a lot of energy. It's not gonna do that. And so I would say that, you know, and I feel that my job is, and I try and I take it very seriously, is I wanna get this amplifier in the right home. And I would say if you are a huge fan of, you know, AC/DC, rock and roll, you want things to just knock down walls, I don't know if this is the right amp for you. That could be dependent on the speaker, but we are dealing with a very sensitive speaker that That's not the problem here. It is neutrally balanced, and what I mean by that is this is a flatline speaker, so if you're a fan of Klipsch and you want that kind of exciting upper mid-range, be my guest, go for it, you know. The sensitivity on a lot of those speakers is wrong. It's not, it's not even kind of close. So, you know, you may want to audition it and be careful about pairings. But I can't imagine that horn lovers, JBL, I will tell you that might be an interesting mix. You know, you might want to try that and see what that sounds like. But without getting sidetracked, I don't think that this is a punch it in the gut kind of mid-bass or bass experience. It sounds nice. I do hear all of the texture and tone that I would want to hear out of the mid-bass and bass, so that is a good thing. But just like the top end, I feel like it's a little bit soft. And I feel like it doesn't have all of the heft and weight that I know some systems are able to produce. So that's that. Those are my thoughts. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video.